Hi, I'm here in cool Florida, taking care of my father, who's 93 years old, who has weeks to live. He's terminal cancer, and I've been coming back and forth to the states, dealing with my dad for a number of years now, and it's finally hit. Trump has just won the whole special counsel probe into collusion and conspiracy. He won round one. And everything's going to get refocused, I believe, back on his foil, the wall. We'll see how he talks in the next election or debate, whatever he has, campaign that he has coming out. But what I've been doing is I've been reaching out to folks on LinkedIn, trying to assemble and build interest in all, the autonomous wall, all, the all sum, all. You know, I believe all has the potential of becoming the most important blockchain STO ICO in America because of the 2020 elections, because of the Trump wall, because the problem we're looking to seek and solve. As soon as we have some amplifiers, which will happen, right? Talking about it, getting on the radio shows, talking about it, we're going to see a significant move. Now, before I can go on that media blitz and circuit and everything else, talking about all, we need to pull together the right team. And I'm talking to the CEO of XDAX. If you haven't seen XDAX, definitely check out XDAX. I just found it because, again, of my pounding the pavement. Launching a startup is all about pounding the pavement. Hitting the ground every day, pounding, pounding, pounding. It's kind of like throwing spaghetti at the wall, right? Eventually, something's going to stick, and stuff is starting to stick. So, and coming together. So, this XDAC is basically the Decentralized Autonomous Corporation. They did a successful ICO, raised some money, and like all projects right now have stalled because the market has stalled for the most part. And everyone is kind of, people don't realize everyone's kind of focused on the elections and Trump and everything else, and now climate change and all that. The blockchain has had its its wind kicked out of it, so to speak. But the opportunity is to put it back. And I've always been saying, if you read my comments, I've always been saying that it's too early for the blockchain. It's too early because you have to remember we are still at the innovation stage of the blockchain. Less than 2.5% of the population really knows about the blockchain or even is involved. Right? Way less than 2.5% know about it. Less than 2.5% are involved in it. So until it gets to the early adoption stage of 13, of over that 2.5% barrier up to 13%, that's the early adoption stage. And then you got the early majority, which is basically the next, after that, 13 to 33 or whatever percent, 34%, right? Or something like that. And then there's the late majority, which is the next 60, whatever, 30, 34% after that. You keep adding 34, so it's 2.5 to 13 to 34 or 60, whatever. I don't know, 30. I can't remember on the top of my head. But you can look up it's called market adoption, the law of market adoption, the law of customer adoption. They have lots of names for the same thing. And the real point of all really isn't to solve the border wall. That's one of the objections, right? The issue by creating a barrier, this autonomous barrier of autonomous agents made up of sensors and drones and vehicles that will deter the bad elements. for those who think, oh, we don't want them, we don't want these people coming in. We definitely want these people coming in as long as they're not the bad elements. What are the bad elements? We want to keep out the drug dealers, the sex traffickers, the coyote mules, right, who are profiting off these poor victims, these individuals. We have less, we have a 3% unemployment rate, okay? We don't have enough people to fill the basic jobs that we need in this country, right? The individuals coming over are desperate for any kind of job. So anyone who's like, well, my father, I was having a debate with my father in bed about it. And he's like, that's a good point. If we had an unemployment rate of like 10% or 9% or even 6%, then I would say, yes, we have a problem with these people coming in, taking the jobs. Employers just don't have enough people to fill these jobs. But we want to keep out the negative elements. And that's the main thing. And if you've done anything with drones, the moment you hear a drone, that's a deterrence, right? So, but really it's about the data, because ultimately everyone will have a public-private key. I will be able to take a picture of the vehicle or my kids or whatever. I could assign them a private key, a public-private key, all right? Use KYC to verify who I am, so I'm not a bot doing all this shit. Tie it into something called XYO, which is location blockchain technology, and every time an autonomous agent pings me, it basically notifies me, and it gives me options to do with what I do with that data, right? In very simple terms. So that's how I need to put this in my little explainer video, right? And finally, most importantly, it's about launching the first decentralized autonomous nonprofit organization, a DANO. Think of a DANO as kind of like an employee-owned or customer-owned, employee/customer-owned entity. Imagine if every company out there, whether it's Walmart, Publix, Gmail, Facebook, if you're using the product, you are an owner and voter on that product, right? We are completely going to change what it means to be a customer, right? We don't have customers. We have stakeholders. A stakeholder is either someone who is impacted by that thing. Simple as that. If you're impacted by that widget, you are a stakeholder of that widget, and you have the same vote as I do as the CEO of that widget, right? It's a little bit more complicated than that, because ultimately I would have one vote, but ultimately there would be thousands of people who understand my work with FoundUps who would delegate their vote to me. And the cool thing is I could take all those votes and I can, you know what? I know that my friend Rob would be the best person to run it, and I could delegate his vote. The moment he screws up, I can say, you're done, and I can pull my votes back. So imagine, as a CEO or as a founder, I can just delegate. People can trust me with my vision, what I'm doing. They delegate their vote to me. I can then redelegate their vote, which is tied to me, to them. They could at any time pull that vote away. And, and imagine a world built that way. Well, in a world like that, when you walk down a beach and you see a can of Coke, and let's say Coke is a Dano in the future, what would you do? Pick up the can of Coke, right? You'd pick up the trash, because ultimately you are a shareholder, technically, not a shareholder technically, but you're a stakeholder of that thing. And that is so important. If we're going to put the planet first, then we need to build a business model that ultimately does that. And our current business model doesn't. Our current business model basically says that all these problems that are created are just the cost of doing business, known as externalities, as David Suzuki would call them. And, we need a model that says, no, we're directly responsible. So XDAX is a decentralized autonomous corporation, that I want to basically fork for Danos, change a bunch of different things, but I was playing around with it. Data, it's all about the data. There's going to be drones delivering us pizzas. There's going to be drones flying around, for security. Who's going to manage? What's all that data going to be used to? Sold to advertisers, without your consent? It's no. It's got to be all on the blockchain. We have to control our data. And number three, Danos, a new business model for saving our planet by removing the exponential growth function tied to the destruction of our planet called CAGR. My name is Mike Trout. I do live videos because I hate uploading, and it's just one less thing for me to do. So I don't have anyone watching here. This is a new channel of mine. My other channel's got 4,000 and 3,000 members collectively. But maybe you'll join this channel and follow this adventure I'm on with Danos.